So I just finished grading all of the discussions for discussion two. I have provided bits of feedback. You're going to see me looking sideways because I jotted myself some notes. Um, a few things. One, when you're doing the discussions, you have to remember what you're being graded on. I've done previous videos and announcements about the grading rubric and what you're supposed to be doing. A lot of people are missing points solely for not following the directions. Um, so let me be clear, please. The week that your discussion opens, you have to post 2 different days. Then the next week, another 2 different days. That means the example I've given people who asked me, if I was in the class, I would open the file on Sunday when it opens, and I would start reading. I would look at what the discussion is so I can start researching it. That's the other thing. You are not expected to already know the answers. Part of the task of doing a discussion is actually learning the material. So this would be done by looking at the information, the chapters mentioned, the file that says tidbits, see if that helps you at all. If anything in the weekly file gives you a clue, go for that. I have provided PowerPoints from the textbook. So if you don't have the textbook or you are not going to purchase the textbook, I have given everything I have from the textbook, and I'm trying to find it as a PDF also. I don't want you to have to spend money to take the class. I mean, aside from what you already paid the school. So I have provided you everything I have. You're supposed to look at what the discussion is about and then learn about it. Then you write your discussion. In your discussion, you are supposed to answer everything that I said to answer, all of it. And you are supposed to make sure to be very clear on your personal thoughts and opinions about the topic. So this last discussion was about basically DEI. It was civil rights and other stuff, but DEI was the main thing. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a second. But you needed to answer all the different things. Only a few people actually covered the 3 tests, but I gave people credit. As long as you made an effort, I gave you credit because you haven't had feedback yet. This is that feedback. So if I have a number 1, 2, and 3, you are supposed to answer number 1, 2, and 3. I totally got lost on myself. What I was saying was that if I was in the class, I would open the file on Sunday. I would then try to learn the material and I would write my discussion. And I would be researching the stuff to make sure I fully understand. And I've written the discussion. I would post my first post, the one that is answering the questions. I would do that Wednesday. And then on Friday, Thursday or Friday, but I would probably do Friday. I would go back in and I would reply to somebody. Then the following Sunday, when I open the file to see what's up for the week, I would go ahead and reply to another person. And then probably Wednesday, I'll go ahead and reply to another person. If you do that, you will have been active 4 separate days, 2 days in the first week, 2 days in the second week. Then everything counts. You would have already replied to 3 people, where you get points for that. For the replies, you're supposed to actually read the person's post and be replying to them. I say this because there's some people who had great replies, but they didn't feel like they were actually replying to the person. I could tell that these people wrote it out ahead of time and then just stuck it in there because it had nothing to do with what the person was talking about other than it is the same topic. Make sure you are referencing what the person you are replying to is talking about. That does not mean copy and paste. It does not mean just doing a whole bunch of quotes. And you will note that on the rubric, it specifies you can't do fluff answers. I really like how you said, I agree. None of that. You have to actually discuss things. Those are some of the main areas people are losing points. The other one is sources. Some people didn't do any sources at all. So you got 0 for that. Some people listed sources at the bottom, but they did not reference what it went to in the discussion. So you got half points. Some people didn't post it, but then replied to their own post and said, "Ooh, I forgot my sources." I allowed it this one time only. Moving forward, if your sources are not in your original post, you won't get any credit for them. So make sure you do that. Your opinion and your thoughts has to be crystal clear. Has to be. And you have to really dig. That to me is one of the biggest parts of the entire discussion. That's what I'm looking for more than anything else, because at the end of this term, I expect everybody to feel confident in voicing their personal opinion and their thoughts. A lot of you will not have any opinion when you first read about the stuff, but as you learn, you formulate an opinion. That's part of the assignment. If you don't care at all about it, you are welcome to say you don't care about this topic, but you have to still have an opinion. There is no riding the fence. There is no middle of the line. It is not, I can see this, I can see that. You have to pick a side, state it clearly, and back up why. I didn't even make you back up your reasonings this time, but in the future, you're going to have to back it up with valid sources. Okay, so AI. Good Lord, so many of you use it, and please stop. The reason I know this is you have to remember I am grading a lot of discussions, and you are not the only person to copy and paste the prompt into a chat bot thing. And I get the same flippin' responses, slightly different, so many times. That is a dead giveaway. So I will tell you this last time, the parts that I had the absolute most was right now, DEI is a major topic in the US, especially as some states move to limit DEI programs in public institutions. In my view, the Equal Protection Clause is very important, but it doesn't solve all problems. Right now, DEI is super controversial. Oh my God, I'm so tired of that word, and we're going to get to it. They are commonly seen in schools, workplaces, and sometimes government places in the USA, but it can sometimes be controversial. I found those in more than half of the discussions that I graded for all of my classes. Stop. Just use your own brain, please. If you are not using your own brain to do these discussions, you are 100% wasting your money on going to college. The whole thing about doing this is for you to find your own voice. You don't have to agree. Note, when I showed you the grading rubric, it covers specific things. At no point on that rubric does it say you have to agree with me. I don't want that. That makes a very boring world. I want to hear what you think. And again, if you don't have an opinion yet, get one. That's part of the task of learning about the stuff. Okay. Now, for the other parts, it seems like a lot of people, and this is on my in-person classes and random people I talk to, this is common, so don't feel bad, but I need to make it crystal clear. DEI is not the same thing as affirmative action. Those are two totally separate things. And a lot of the comments that people are making in their discussion posts are referring to affirmative action, not DEI. Again, totally different things. DEI is not just a racial or color of your skin thing. And I get that the discussion, you might pull from that because it's talking about civil rights and Black Americans and stuff like that. So I can see how it would lead you there. I used the critical thinking things that came with the textbook, and I think I need to reword this particular discussion moving forward because DEI is more than that. And that's part of what makes me get so livid is people just seem to close their mind to what it actually is. And DEI stands for diversity, equity, inclusion. Diversity is variety. Literally, that's all it means. It's variety. It means not everybody's the same. Somebody had made a comment that unfortunately diversity is a thing. That's not a unfortunately, that is a wonderful thing. Can you imagine how boring this world would be if absolutely everybody was exactly the same? Oh, good God, no. Um, Diversity is good. And again, diversity just means variety. It means you don't know what somebody else's life is like. And in my in-person classes, we broke this down in so many ways. And I wish there was a way I could have everybody in my online class have some of the conversations we have in the in-person class. Um, Inclusion means you can include everybody. It doesn't mean you have to, but it means it's possible to include. And none of the inclusion can happen without the E, which is equity, not equality. Equity. Equity means that you make the adjustment that is needed. It is not the same thing as equal. And a few people got my response of, sorry, I just flashed back to one of the discussions. Somebody had a great one about running a race and having a backpack, and I thought it was great. But the one I use has to do with books. You can have a library full of books, and you say everybody needs to read this particular book, this one book. Everybody needs to read this book. Okay. You can hand everybody that book. Okay. That's equality. But if somebody is blind and you give them a sight book, that's what our normal books are. It's you have to be able to see them in order to read it. If you give a blind person that book, they cannot read that book. Equality is they got the same book as everybody else. Equity is the blind person gets that book written in Braille so they can read it. Can other people read that book? No, not if they don't know how to read Braille. But the blind person physically cannot read the sight book. So to make things equitable, we make a Braille book for the person who can't see. Anybody has ever used the disability services on campus, that's equity. It is not that you're getting special treatment, it's leveling the playing field. So when DEI was thrown out the window, which, yes, I'm also going to show that, it was not about affirmative action, or not just affirmative action. It was not just about race and color and stuff like that. It was literally including any kind of disability. That means if a school who succumbed to the threats about they have to get rid of DEI, that means somebody in a wheelchair might not be able to access their classroom because the school no longer has to make sure there's a ramp for them to get in there. Getting rid of DEI means a person in a wheelchair might not have access to a bathroom because that company doesn't have to worry about that because that was a DEI problem. So while everybody went on and on about race and color of your skin, which are definitely valid points, don't forget, there is a whole other group of people who have been kicked to the curb. And that's why I get so upset is people seem to turn this into a black versus white thing, and they're not wrong, but it's not only that. And so I want to make sure everybody knows what DEI actually stood for. Now, I'm going to share something here because I said that about DEI being gone. This is the White House webpage. Literally, one of the very first things the sitting president did on the day he was sworn in was get rid of the DEI program. I had a conversation with a student earlier today who said it was just on a government rollback. It's gone. Federally gone. Website, White House, Trump's own speakers put it on here, and they cover the entire reason they say they got rid of it. They said that it was a waste of time. It was a waste of money. They're saying they are getting rid of it. It was disbanded January 20th, 2025. They got rid of DEI straight up. Some locations, some businesses, some schools are trying their hardest to still keep their own portion alive. But a lot of the universities who try to still have a DEI program have then had funding pulled away. So, yes, DEI is currently gone. Um, Anyone who looks at the Title IX for this school, for South Georgia State College, if you look at our Title IX statements, it is different than what the Title IX statement was a couple of years ago. The only protections that are under Title IX now have to do with sex, if you're male or girl, if you're sexually harassed. That's it. There is no other protection. So, yes, DEI is gone. And a lot of people who just took the stuff, threw it in a bot, and then regurgitated, you were quoting things and making statements about stuff that happened before 2025, which is why you got my statement of, are you aware it is now gone? Because it is gone. I don't know how else to put that. Is it technically a government rollback? Possibly. But January 20th, 2025, as soon as Trump was inaugurated, he signed a buttload of executive orders. One of them was to get rid of DEI. And we have been watching for the past year now as different companies and schools and even states lose funding unless they get rid of their DEI programs. We have entire degree programs that were based on this, and those degree programs are being canceled. So it is a lot more than just, you know, this is part of why I want you to dig in and really look at stuff. The other note I have over here is the number of times people feel the need to say something is controversial. Please stop. Please stop before I make it part of the grading rubric that if I see the word controversial, you automatically lose points. That is another big indicator that you're just reading something else and you're not actually putting thought into it. I get controversial is a valid word. It is so overused, I don't think anybody even knows what it means anymore. They just mean, ooh, this side says this side says that. While this is a politics class, we are looking at the actual subjects that politics are arguing about. And you have to come up with your own answer and then see if you actually match the politicians that you agree with, you know? Because there's a lot of people that when you break the whole thing down and you learn, you will find that the person or party you follow might not actually mean the same stuff you mean. At which point, you then get to reevaluate. Do you want to keep going this direction or do you want to change what you think? You know, it's entirely up to you. Again, I'm going to reiterate, not my job to tell you what to think. It is not my job to tell you your opinion. I don't want to. That is too much responsibility. It is my job to make you think and to form an opinion and to state the opinion. Most people around here have, and I say this because my class, we've already talked about the in-person classes, have been raised, you don't talk about politics, religion, or money. And I'm telling you, we talk about all of it. We are never going to learn anything if we don't talk. We have had way too long of keeping our mouths shut and only talking to people who agree with us. And that is how we got where we are. If we want everything to be better, we all have to be better. You can't shut anybody down. You need to actually listen, not just wait to hear what, wait for them to finish so you can rebut, but listen to what someone else says. Spread your own mind. After you listen and you think about it, you can totally dismiss it. That's fine. I'm not saying anybody has to change their mind, but sometimes your mind will change, and that's okay too. I just want everybody to actually know what it is they stand for. Whether you and I agree or not, doesn't matter. I know what I stand for. I know why I stand for what I stand for. I want to make sure you know what you stand for and why you stand for what you stand for. And that's what this whole class is going to be. So every discussion, that part about your personal thoughts and opinions, that's huge. I will be searching for that every single time. So make sure you do that. Um, okay. I think, yeah, I think that is it for the discussion part. Now, for week 5, made a couple of adjustments, so I want to show you that too. So I'm going back to here, and now I have to find which tab I had open because I think this one. Nope, this one, week 5. So this is week 5 for one of my online political science classes. As usual, you need to open the file for it to open anything. There's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot. It's letting you know that your first exam is this week. So I hope you're ready. It's going to cover chapters 1 through 6. You have taken quizzes based on all this. And then I would do the exam first so you don't get confused. But that's just me. I added stuff about the group project. We have step 2, and then we have this file. I'm going to come back to those in 1 second. And then I added 2 things at the bottom of week 5 because I specified you need to talk about the Constitution. We're going to go more into the Constitution coming up. We're going to go a lot farther into it. And so I put 2 different links for the US Constitution. And this first one is a PDF. So if you prefer to just take your time and read through something, that's why I did the PDF. The second one is a website with clickable links. I don't want it to be a new window. I want it to be a new tab. Oh, okay. It did just do a tab, so you should still see it. So this is a really great source where you can then look at it. So you can look like, okay, the preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Literally it. I love the fact that they actually link the song for Schoolhouse Rock. I grew up with this. We used to sing it. But then if you want an explanation, then you go here and it breaks it down. Now, preamble wasn't a great one to do because preamble literally just means it's the opening. But if you decide, say, let's go, here we go, Article 4 of the states. It's pretty long. But then you can take a good look at some of them. So we've got overview, we've got the specific ones. Let's click on this. So it breaks the whole thing down here. It gives you a clue and then it breaks it down. All these numbers are to tell you more information. And so if you really want to 100% get the Constitution, this is one way to do it. So we have that. All righty. Now, for the other parts. Oh, there's a video there where I talk about the group project. So feel free to watch it if you want to. It's previously recorded, but I'm going to kind of talk about it right now. So step 2 for the group project is here. You click step 2. It will take you to the file named group project. So this is it. Previously, you got your group and you were basically just supposed to meet each other and you're supposed to be defining like 5 words. Now you need to start discussing what makes a good government. Every single group needs to be talking about government, not what does Google say is a good government. What do you yourself believe makes a good government? And then I give you some examples. So like, do you believe a good government means all of the people are cared for? Or do you think it's that all the other countries look up to you and think you are a better country? Is it because they truly think you're a better country or because you instill fear in them? Do you think it's the country that has the most money? That kind of thing. really sit down and think what you yourself believe makes the best government and discuss it with your class. I don't expect everybody to agree. I'm very hopeful that not everybody agrees because that's what makes this more interesting. So, step two is in your groups, you're going to be talking about this. What makes a good government? That's pretty much it. Notice it says every group member needs to discuss this. That means all of them have to do this. Okay, and then group project, again, you'll see step two is here. This authoritarianism course outline. This will take a little while. So start just taking a look. This is a document that a friend of mine, it's actually a friend of my son, he made this. He does a podcast about government and history and stuff like that. And so I had told him a year ago an idea I had. And so he put all this together. So I would go ahead and start just reading through here. You have a lot of definitions, where they came from. You're going to have some examples. And so some of these are some of the words you were supposed to already be looking up. So I already gave you some. We have different everything. And see, he even includes hyperlinks. So this is an 11-page document, but it really puts it all together very well. So I highly suggest take the time and go through that. And do you have to do anything with the document right now? No. But getting familiar with the document now will 100% help you in the long run for your project. It's just the more familiar you get with certain words and concepts, the easier it's going to be to discuss things. So I would recommend going ahead and taking a look at that. I think that's pretty much it. So I hope this is remotely helpful. My goal, I would love to do one of these every week. I don't know if it's going to happen every week, but I do want to do one to provide feedback about the discussions after I grade the discussions each time. So yeah, let me know if there's something else you wish I had covered, and reach out whenever you want. I will tell you that I don't log on to Brightspace every single day. I do quite a bit, but not every day. If it's something that is time sensitive and you really, really, really need a response sooner rather than later, email me to my actual email address. That is in the syllabus, and that comes straight to my phone, and so I'll see it a lot faster. So if it's a day that I'm not logging on to Brightspace, I'll at least still get your email, and then I can try my best to help you. Yeah, I think that's it. And I guess the only other thing is pretty soon I'm going to start posting the stuff about the people running for president in my in-person classes. And I will be setting something up for you to vote in our primaries so we can find out who's officially going to run for president. And I have to wait until everybody finishes getting me their stuff, and then I'm going to make something and post it for you guys. And yes, you will get points for voting. So there you go. All right. And I guess that is it. So yeah, peace.